It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
All right. Hi again, everybody. Welcome. Nice to have you with us. Oh, wait a minute. What happened there, Pilk? You just went away.
I know. I hit the wrong. I went to click on and I accidentally. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I thought something was wrong because we had a crash earlier this morning. Check your phone, by the way, Pilk. That's the Joey football time. I've revised it yet again. So nice to have you with us here. As we have a brand new team in Eastern North Carolina. That's right, a brand new baseball team in ENC, and it's a professional team. We'll do that. We have some Houston Huddle audio for you and some Pirate Report audio for you coming up in just a little bit. Some other news and nuggets, and Joey football talks the Pirates and more with us today. So hello to Philip the Ref Pilkington. He's with us here on the program. Pilk, how are you?
Good. Clearly making errors early in the show. Long day. A little tired, but I'm good. Excited for that Granger Stadium is not going to go by the wayside. So that's good to hear. And
so let's talk about that. This was the announcement earlier this morning from K-Town, Kinston, K-Town, Stay Down. This is the announcement of the new tenants of Granger Stadium.
Here's one, and we are the Down East Bird Dogs, D-A-W-G-S.
The Down East Bird Dogs. They're going to play
dogs, like how George is the Dogs, D-A-W-G-S.
Right, the Down East Wood Dogs. Now, there's a couple things here, and I'm from Kinston, as many of you know. I think it's interesting that they've got Cam McCray involved. He owned the Indians, or the franchise that was the Indians, for years and years and years before he sold it, and they went to become the Carolina Mudcats, which will eventually become the Wilson team. I would assume Carolina Mudcats, just in Wilson. And he is, of course, the man who owns the Bojangles franchise in Eastern North Carolina. Cam's done very well. He's done a lot for the community. And is a big baseball fan. Dodgers fan is what he is. The other thing I thought was interesting, and of course now I can't remember the guy's last name off the top of my head. This is what happens when I don't make a note sheet, Pilk, when you get old. But the people from Murphy Family Ventures and Murphy Family Farms seem to be involved in this as well whatever you would, Jeff Turner, that's what it is. He's on our station, for crying out loud. So, from Murphy Family Ventures. So, it would seem that you have the Murphy family, who, of course, are involved with Murphy Farms and big supporters of NC State and that sort of thing out of Duplin County. So, they have some kind of stake in this. So, I don't think you're as far as ownership goes, you would be quite stable, I would think. Now, the kicker is this is not affiliated with minor league baseball. It is minor league baseball. It's professional baseball, but it's not affiliated in the sense of it's not the farm team of insert the major league team here. And unlike the Wood Ducks, it is not owned in this case. They were owned by the Texas Rangers, which became, sold to Diamond Holdings, which is tied in with what is the agency? Anyway, that's tied in with the group that owns UFC now and WWE and a bunch of minor league teams all across the world. It's an agency, an entertainment company, and it's a multifaceted, multi-billion-dollar deal. And they're moving their team to obviously the upstate of South Carolina. So I thought this was good. It seems to have been well thought out. It seems to have been well put together. I think this is better than a collegiate team. They're going to get 50-some-odd games at home. The Frontier League plays 100 games. They do it like the minor leagues do, and that you'll play a 6-game series against opponents. So you're at home for a week, on the road for a week, alternating kind of thing. I think that's good. I think that's positive. I know, just knowing people in minor league baseball for years and years and years, April is a death time for them. April is a rough month for minor league baseball because you still have kids in school, so you don't draw anything on the weeknights. That's why you see a lot of these weekday games that are played at minor league parks now, where they bring, the kids from school or the kids from the summer programs go to the day games, and they'll play a day game at 10 or 11 in the morning. So that is a positive. I don't know how well you get more games, 50 some odd games. It's not too many to tax what is probably a little bit of a questionable workforce to draw from in Kinston because of numbers. I can't imagine it's easy to get people to work a summer job. Because you can't get anybody to work anything now. So, but the thing about this is, instead of the parent or affiliate team paying or the parent team paying the affiliate team's players and manager, you've got to go out and hire a manager. You got to go out and hire staff. You got to pay these people, and then you've got to go out and sign players. And these will be signed for people who still want to play professional baseball in some cases, or trying to get a start in playing professional baseball. There is a loose agreement with MLB that players in this league get to showcase their skills before major league scouts. It's a long road, but it's a probable opportunity maybe. So there's that. I was just concerned because you do have a Coastal Plain League team in Greenville, and there's a cost of entry into that. You have to pay the league a pretty good, franchise fee or entry fee to get in. If you don't, then you're stuck with one of these teams that, you don't pay a whole lot to get in, and it's a lot looser. There's a team in Kinston, I think, that plays at LCC, and it didn't sound like a good idea. This now allows the Granger Stadium to be put to use in February, like they currently do with the Freedom Classic, with Navy and Air Force. This allows them to play. I know they announced some big high school event coming up around Easter in April. So, this allows them to do things without the field taking a beating. And you can play local games there. And then in May, when you need a tenant, especially, and that'll last through August or early September. So I think it's the best of everything. I do like the idea. Obviously, Cam McCrae's behind it, and Bojangles. I like the idea that Jeff Turner, Murphy Family Ventures. I find that intriguing. I'd be anxious to learn a little more about that. Sherry Massengill, some of you may know Sherry. Sherry worked with that franchise and worked for Cam McCrae as the assistant GM and then as the general manager for years and years and years and years. And it just feels a little better. Now, I've got an uphill climb. I don't think there's any two ways about that. But it just feels a little better. And then, Pilk, we don't have any way to get the logo up, do we? Because here's what I love about the logo. They had two logos. They had a dog swinging a bat, and then they had a dog with a duck in its mouth, the bird dogs. Well, you know what kind of duck it was, or kind of bird it was. It looked like a wood duck. That I thought was a little swipe. I thought it was pretty good, though. I'm here for the pettiness, Pilk, as you know.
Oh, of
the
course.
The dog had the wounded duck in its mouth. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't like the Down East thing. I think they ought to go to Kinston. But, they obviously felt like there was some regional appeal by staying as Down East, and maybe some recognition. For better or for worse, the last 7 years, there's been a team called Down East as your main tenant there. Again, I don't really to me, it would be preferred to be calling them, the Kinston Bird Dogs. But Down East it is. Anyway, Good stuff there. Do we have the director or the commissioner of the Frontier League?
Yeah, Commissioner of the Frontier League kind of explaining what it is.
Who is this gentleman?
Steve Tashler.
All right, Steve Tashler. Here we go. Commissioner of the Frontier League, explaining what exactly the Frontier League is.
Frontier League is professional baseball. We're a professional partner league of Major League Baseball. We work with Major League Baseball Central Office, but we don't have the same one-to-one tie as the Carolina League teams may have. The benefit is that allows us to work with all 30 Major League teams at once. Each of the 30 clubs sends us ball players. Any of the 30 clubs can promote one of our ball players as they wish. We now have had 6 ball players from the Frontier League make their Major League debuts in 2024. 5 of those 6 got their professional start in the Frontier League. That's what our baseball mission is. On the baseball player side, it's to give players an opportunity to showcase themselves to all the organizations, see which one is the best fit as they pursue their dream and work to move up to the major leagues.
So, pretty good description there. Thanks to Scooter Rogers for going over and covering that event, and to Pilk for getting some audio, including the announcement audio today. Great stuff there by our crew. The thing that the other thing that I guess is a little, I don't know if you would say concerning. Well, it's got to be a concern. I'm sure it's been factored in. I mean, again, you got very smart people from the business world involved in this, so I don't think there's any willy-nilliness or going into this blindly. But your closest, there's some teams up in the Northeast, so maybe New Jersey's the closest team possibly. There's a team in Lexington, Kentucky, or maybe not Lexington. It's Florence, Kentucky, maybe. Point is, there's a team in Kentucky. And then there's a team in Mississippi that will start next year also. So those are your closest teams. Now, the hot rumor today was that it looks like Myrtle Beach might be losing its affiliation, and maybe Myrtle Beach would go this direction. And again, this all comes back to, and this is part of the win for the city of Kinston. They have professional baseball, but they don't have to put all of this money into the stadium that Major League Baseball was requiring minor league teams to put in. This is not to say they shouldn't put money into the stadium and upgrade it. They should. They need to do things to make the stadium appealing to go to and comfortable and modern, and I'm sure they will. The city will, but you don't have to put untold millions into this. So you have a room for a female staffer to dress in that is we've talked about that, but the thing that you had to have, everything had to be specific down to the square foot. So you had to meet certain specs. And I don't know if you've priced anything to build lately, but it ain't cheap. It hadn't been cheap. So, I mean, the brick and mortar part of the cost are what are outrageous. You know, there were travel qualifications, too, where you had to take multiple buses if you were so far away. I mean, with this, I don't know. These are all questions I hope to get answered, and how they would travel and that kind of thing, just because I'm interested in the logistics of it. But again, I'm sure they have considered all of the costs to run this thing, to operate this thing, et cetera. So, I mean, the good news is there's at least professional baseball there. I think it would have been a tough sell with a collegiate team, plus you'd got half the home games, even though you've been able to sell beer. It just been tough for anybody involved to make some money. This seemed like it was pretty well planned out today, and that's a good thing. And I like the name, Pilk. Do you like the Bird Dogs name? I'm not big on Down East, but I don't mind the Bird Dogs.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I mean, hey, it gives you a little hunting feel there with the.
You get an orange hunting hat and put the Bird Dogs logo on it. I'd wear that. I'd rock
like
that.
It. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that'd be great.
But I'm with you. I wish it was Kinston. I like Kinston better.
Yeah, Kinston Bird Dogs would have been better. But who am I to tell these people how to spend their money? They may change it. Who knows? Probably not. It seems like they're set on Down East. Another bit of info that's come out since we last talked to you yesterday. We told you about the report that Air Force is being courted heavily by the American. That would put all 3 service academies under the same conference banner. I've seen a little less today about UNLV. And apparently there's now reportage that Tulane and Memphis could be heading to the Pac-12 and being recruited there, or courted, if you will. Here's what I would say to that. Good riddance. If you want to be Tulane and you want to be in the Central Time, same thing for Memphis. But Tulane's a different animal in my mind. You're a private school. If you want to be in that time zone, and instead of playing schools that are relatively, geographically, they have it pretty good with the Texas schools and UAB and even Memphis and Florida. These are not lengthy trips necessarily for them. So if you're Tulane and you would rather go to such exotic destinations as Corvallis or Pullman or Boise, shouldn't you just call UCF and say, how's this travel going for you when you got to go to Provo or any of these Iowa? Find out how that's going for you. Find out how much UCF likes that. And then Memphis I don't know about you, Pilk, but and I look at this more through the basketball lens. Good riddance to Memphis. If they both want to go, let them go at this point.
Yeah, the thing is, Memphis' new AD is going to put all this money into football, and I guess he thinks that if there is a break-off in football, the best way to get invited is to be part of a Power 5 conference, which I get it, but I think with this break-off, when it does happen...
Is this a Power 5 conference?
No, who knows? I don't know. The point is that when this break-off happens, look, Alabama, Ohio State, they're going to run it, USC, Texas, and they're going to say, hey, we're breaking off. If you can afford to come and we deem that you're willing to put enough football money in, come. And I don't think it matters what, if all of a sudden Tulsa, who's got a crap ton of money, says, you know what, yeah, we're going to put in $50 million a year in NIL. We want to be with the big boys.
Right,
then they're going to say, okay, come on. They don't care that you used to be in the American. You just got to prove, hey, you can hang with us in the future. It doesn't matter what conference you're in. And if you pay an exit fee and then pay an entry fee, you're going to lose some of that money. Just saying.
Lose a lot of that money. And then, again, that's just kind of reporting rumor. I heard that yesterday, and I just thought, that's just somebody on X running their mouth. But I don't know. If they want to go that badly and make routine trips to the West Coast, God bless them. Let them do it. Let them do it. All right, we're going to do a Pirate Report. We'll hear from some ECU players when we come back. And then we'll have Joey Football for the balance of the hour talking about ECU and Liberty, his thoughts on ECU app. We'll post analysis from that. It is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game and the IBX Media apps. Stay tuned. Pirate Report with some Pirate player audio coming up.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast, Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Pirate game days, there's nothing like them. The atmosphere,
First down.
the tradition, the matchups, the magical finishes. Be a part of Pirate Game Days. Season tickets are as low as $115. Reserve your seat today to be a part of the experience of Pirate Game Days at Donnie Ficklin Stadium this fall.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Our new employees at Flatlands Jessup, one of the first things we determine is if they truly care about people. If customer service feels like work to them, they're not going to make it here. When you call one of our 6 insurance offices throughout Eastern North Carolina, you'll hear the passion we have for customer service in our voices. If you stop by, you'll see the smiling faces of our dedicated team, ready to listen, understand the issues you're facing, and deliver the innovative solutions you deserve. Our team is different. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Taking the rage out of your drive home.
You just cut me off! But it's no big deal.
Patrick Johnson on 94.3 The Game and the new IBX Media app.
All right, tough day for the ECU defense against Appalachian State as they did hold them to just 21 points, but got 500 yards racked up on him, particularly through the air. Zakai Barker played really well for the Pirates, and he talked about moving on from the tough loss.
Just knowing what we have in store for us and all the work that we put in, we didn't have the outcome that we wanted, but just knowing what this team was capable of, that's kind of what we're leaning on right now, and kind of leaning back on the work that we put in all the summer and spring and fall camp. So just making sure that we just had that mindset of that one loss is never going to define us. It's the actions and the process that we bounce back from. That's what's going to define the season. So that's what it is.
He also scouts the Liberty Flames.
I see they're a real disciplined football team, a real physical team. They said some crazy stat like they haven't lost a game in 2 years, something like that, a regular season game in 2 years. It's a challenge, but this team right here is built for adversity. We're built for challenges. Even in that fourth quarter last week, we just seeing the way we stayed together was night and day from last year. So I feel like that's one of the things that gives us confidence coming into this next week. Is like, man, like even when things get tough, we're going to have each other's back. You had guys on defense cheering on the offense cheering on defense. We weren't pointing any fingers. We just wanted to all get better, and that's what kind of the week of preparation is looking for coming up to this week. But, I mean, we're dealing with a real disciplined football team, a hard-nosed football team. They want to run the ball. They want to play action, take shots if they want to. So we're going to have to stop the run. We're going to have to shut down the quarterback and kind of dictate the game based off how we want to go, and that's what playing defense is all about. So.
Let's see here. More from East Carolina's Zakai Barker. He talks about Liberty's quarterback and the dual threat that he presents.
He's good. I mean, he can manipulate your eyes if you let him. He's quick, shifty with his feet. So we're going to have to really hone in on his hips and making sure we're in the right place at the right time. So if you're not, obviously on film, he'll take advantage of that. He's put that on plate plenty of times. So just making sure we're in the right positions to where we don't get taken advantage of and to where we can dictate the game to the flow that we want it to. That's going to be the main key for sure.
Talking about Caton Salter there, the Tennessee transfer. And there is some question as to whether or not Liberty's running back Quentin Cooley will play or not. And this is Zakai Barker talking about having to plan for the Bailey, North Carolina native.
This defense will never be a defense that turn down a challenge. Obviously, he's day to day, but we don't really. It doesn't really matter who the guy is running the ball. We just want to hit the guy carrying the brown thing. That's kind of how it goes. You know what I'm saying? So regardless of if he's playing or the backup's playing, we just want to make sure that we do our job. Like I said, it's all about us. They can put whoever back there. We just want to make sure we're handling our business. That's all it's ever been about, especially on defense, especially on offense. This whole team is built to take care of us first. So.
All right, couple notes from the offensive side of the ball and comments from Casey Kelly, the Oregon transfer, who talked about the Pirate offense thus far.
We've definitely executed some things, not everything. Definitely still not to the best of our ability, and we left a lot of stuff out there on Saturday specifically. Just come in, keep getting better every single day, and just, kind of trend upwards towards the end of the year.
He talks about the depth of the offense.
We have faith in everyone in our room. I know the receivers have faith in everyone in their room. Tight ends, we all do. Running back group. It's nice to be able to flow guys, like you said. It keeps everybody fresh. It keeps your legs fresh, whether you're taking on a block, running a route. You want to run it full speed. You want to block full speed. So whatever you have to do to get that out of you, you want to do it.
And the scout on the Liberty defense from Pirate tight end Casey Kelly.
They run a 4-2 defense. I played them last year in the Fiesta Bowl when I was at Oregon. And, they're physical. They're a physical group, but, we could definitely get in there and do what we need to do and come out with a win.
All right, some Pirate players there in today's Pirate Report. Tennessee, according to Brett McMurphy, will add a 10% talent fee on all football tickets starting next season. The fee will go to the players, helping fund the proposed revenue share with the players. UT estimates per seat price increase would average 4.5% for the entire stadium. Now, they have 100,000 plus seat stadium, so that's going to be a great way for them to put this money towards paying players, and people aren't going to have to lose jobs like they are at places like Texas A&M and what have you. That'd be a great concept here if you could routinely put 50 in, because, even though it's not 100, clearly, that's 50K is a pretty large number. So I would think there's going to be something along those lines that will happen. It's a tough balance, though, Pilk, because you have to – everything's on television now. So you have to have a team that's worth – people want to pay money to see. You have to provide kind of an exceptional game day experience. If you're somebody with kids, it's a tough day to go to a football game every single, week or 6 or 7 times, in a few months, because, it's money, costs money.
It costs money and it costs time. When you got kids, football's a full day.
Investment. Yeah, it's a full day.
You go to a basketball game, you show up 25, 30 minutes before tip. The game lasts 2 hours.
And 15 minutes before tip.
Yeah. And you can do about a 3-hour thing from the minute you leave your front door to the minute you get home. Football's not that way. I'm thinking about, growing up, we left at 9:30, 10 o'clock to go to Panther games. You don't get home till 5:30. That's a work day right there.
And it's a commitment. So, interesting. Very interesting, though, that Tennessee's going that route. And, I would imagine everybody in the SEC is going that route somehow. You got to be able to create and think outside the box. We had John Gilbert on yesterday. He did mention this. I'd heard that this was something that been discussed, but attaching priority points to NIL giving. In other words, the points that you earn for contributing, in this case, to the Pirate Club, you would get some of that. I think that's interesting. Now, I think the NCAA has been a little, vague, imagine that, on that. But as I understand it, and this wasn't from John, this was from somebody else I was talking to yesterday, maybe Sunday, that this is the league's commissioner, Tim Pernetti, has said, do it. Let's attach priority points or, some sort of reward points within the framework of your booster mechanism to NIL giving. And maybe that'll prompt people to want to give more to it. For an example, Team Boneyard at East Carolina, and if they knew they would get some Pirate Club priority points added to their account. Okay, Pilk, let's do an update, then we'll get Joey Football on. Do we have Joe Samson with us?
Yeah, he's ready to go.
Let's see him real quick for the video audience, for the vast video audience. There he is. He's on air. Joe Samson, looking good. Joey Football, you doing all right?
I'm doing great. I just gotta say something real quick as far as the SEC moving forward to this. I thought it was interesting Tennessee announced it. With a room and a plethora of hidden fees these days on ticket sites and every other live event there is, they announced it for the NIL. So I appreciated them trying to cover themselves, I guess is the best way to put it, that they're going to charge more now for tickets. But it's not a large amount as far as like what people expect. You're paying your quarterback $8 million a year. I don't think that a $10,000 bump from your 100,000 seat stadium for $10 is really going to be the thing that's going to set you over the edge, but to each their own.
Well, I think what it does is and we could talk about this a little more, I think it maybe gives you an opportunity to not make cuts, to areas.
That's fair.
I mean, to people employed in your athletic department, to other sports that don't make money. I mean, that's the big thing. So, I mean, it's just a way. It's a drop in the bucket, maybe, but it is a drop or two. And I just saw a text that basically confirmed that they're gonna attach these priority points for the Pirate Club to the NIL, and I think that's a great thing. I think that's overdue. All right, let's let Pilk give you an update. World of sports and ECU and beyond. Here's Philip with that, and then we'll come back and spend some time with young Joseph Samson here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Pilk?
Thank you, P-Man. Starting in Pirate Athletics, they're going to be taking on the Liberty Flames on Saturday. This past Saturday in their win over UTEP, Flames running back Quentin Cooley did sustain an injury, and Jamie Chadwell gave an injury update on his star running back earlier this morning.
Cooley will be, I think, day to day. There's a chance for him to play this week. We'll see how he responds. His injury was nothing that's a long term.
That game can be heard right here on 94.3 The Game at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock network coverage, and the the Anson Belt and Buckle Pirate Game Day Countdown will begin at 3 o'clock. Some NFL injury news broke late yesterday after we got off the air. Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp is going to miss significant time with an ankle injury. Wide receiver and running back from the Kansas City Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco, has broke a bone in his lower leg. He's expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. And 49ers star wide receiver Deebo Samuel could also miss a handful of weeks with a calf injury. Late yesterday, the Penguins signed an extension to their franchise player Sidney Crosby, a 2-year extension worth $17.4 million. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to take a time out here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Be back with Joey Football on the other side.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Hey Glenn, let's talk about a new program at Greenville Nissan.
Sure, sometimes bad things happen to good people, like credit hiccups.
Greenville Nissan just rolled out credit forgiveness.
If you've been making consistent car payments and you're tired of that high interest rate, this program is for you.
Get into a new Nissan with a manageable payment and keep that cash in the bank.
Come visit us at Greenville Nissan and drive your Nissan home today.
Hurry, this program ends September 3rd. Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arr!
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Folks in Beaufort County know that Warehouse Tire on Hackney Avenue in Washington sells both the most premium and the most affordable tire brands. But did you know Warehouse Tire can service everything from your engine to brakes to a complete diagnostic? So the next time you need tires, Warehouse Tire is there for you. But they're way more than just tires. They're a complete automotive service center and the new place to take your vehicle. Warehouse Tire and Battery, 301 Hackney Avenue in beautiful Washington. WarehouseTireNC.com.
We have you covered with all the ECU news and beyond that you need for the drive home. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Okay, very good. Thanks for being with us here. We're happy to have you on. Patrick Johnson Show. Joe Samson from Pirate Game Day Countdown, 94.3 The Game. Joey Football. A bowl champion, all-around great guy, is with us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. And he's been good enough to join us here on Tuesdays this year, which I really appreciate. All right, Joey Football, let's break down this game. I think nice job by the defense to, limit, I guess, App State to just 21 points, but the Pirates just couldn't get the offense out of the mud, and time of possession isn't a real dictating kind of thing. I think if you're with ECU, what you're wanting to do, it's the amount of snaps ECU wants, the volume of snaps they want to get. But in this game, it seemed like that the time of possession was the story because App dictated the pace and churned up a bunch of yards.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you have to look at is ECU storms out to 16 points in the first quarter. And then all of a sudden, it's all App State. It's 21 unanswered after that. It's a Conrad missed field goal. It's a lack of execution as far as it goes down the stretch because you need to hold on to the football to win the game. Garcia tries to be a hero, puts it on the sidelines. But it's also situational because if Conrad hits that field goal, and I know nobody likes to play the if game when it comes to football, but you have a 1-point lead and you can run the ball out and get the clock out and do those things that you were doing really well in the first half. So it's a learning experience for sure. Everybody's going to point fingers and say that ECU doesn't win big games. On the IGO show earlier this week, we had somebody call in talking about how ECU is an excuses university, not a results university. So we'll see this week how they handle Jamie Chadwick when he finally gets to face off against the Pirates.
Yeah, did not coach in Coastal because he'd already left to take the Liberty job after it was Hugh Freeze who left to take the Ole Miss job a couple years ago. All right, Philip the Ref Pilkington is here. I'm Patrick Johnson. We've got Joey Football, Joe Samson with us. Let me ask you offensively. I picked up on something you said there. You talked about Garcia. Did you say Hero was trying to hero it down the field? Mm-hmm. I thought it was a fine throw. I just don't think he saw the safety that dropped back. There was a little blown route there as well, maybe. But boy, look at you, a little critical there on the QB, accusing him of hero ball. What up? I thought he made some good throws on Saturday. I thought he played better, and I think Garcia was not helped by 3 or 4 drops.
I definitely comes down to drops. You have to kind of complete those, especially as the receiver, if you hope to get the rock going forward. So that's the first thing. That's a focus thing. You got to make sure you're catching the ball in tight situations and in traffic. He did. He had a much better game than he had over the last 2 weeks. But again, the thing that gets him in trouble with these turnovers is hero ball. We've heard now conversations about the protection. We've also heard now multiple people say he should have put the ball where it couldn't have been caught on one of the interceptions he had against ODU in the back of the end zone. He threw it into triple coverage against Norfolk State with Casey Kelly falling down. So at some point, and we've talked about it, you need to decide if you're going to make the play or if you're going to be the play. And it looked like he was trying to do too much, get a big chunk yardage situation there. Yes, there could have been a busted route from the receiver, but also it looked like he didn't see that safety lurking, and it looked like they were in a cover 2 invert thing like they ran a little bit earlier in the game, maybe possibly trying to bait him because he had such a big shot on that first play when they came out and empty. So there's a lot of factors to it. I thought that he was forcing the ball down the field in a situation where it didn't require it.
Joe, I thought that the offensive line did not handle the pressure very well again for a 3rd straight week, and you're going to get pressure coming at you. Now, I understand there's other components of that. You have running backs for pass pro and that sort of thing. But when you get in a game like this where your possessions are limited, the offense isn't quite humming. You don't have the high volume of stats, so the offensive line is maybe forced to play in a more traditional mode, especially if you're throwing as much as the Pirates ended up, throwing. I still think there's a lot of deficiency along that group, and that could be a problem on Saturday night at a place where they've not lost a home game in 2 years.
Definitely. And the first thing people are going to look at is App State comes out in Max Pro, 7 people in most instances to give Joey Aguilar all the time in the world. ECU can't afford to do that. They don't have that kind of game-wrecking ability yet in this new offense where you can go with these 3-man concepts and still protect with 7 people and try and stop these rushes. So it's going to be an interesting thing going forward. Liberty is very good on defense. The only thing that's going to save ECU is that they have switched the offense now since Taylor Jackson left. He probably would have had a lot of cues, a lot of keys on some things he had faced for so many years with Donnie Kirkpatrick at the helm of the offense. But that's also going to play into some things now because Blake Harrell's going to know some things that Taylor Jackson knows. So he's going to have to switch that up a little bit more. And on the defensive side, we'll get into it, but that's a lot. And I think it'll be saved a little bit more now with the helmet communication system. But for a while, I mean, those signals were the same thing when you're in the program. It's very rare you change them for one player, but Taylor was the signal caller last year. So that'll be a matchup we have to watch going forward. But I think the offensive line bounces back this week with a little bit more run game. Liberty has shown on tape to be a little bit more I guess not gap sound is the best way to put it. So there should be some big gashes for Rajay Harris to get going.
I'm glad you brought the Jackson thing up. That's obviously a storyline this week. When what would you say the emotions are for him? I think maybe sometimes media makes a big deal of it. I understand too. I think you're spot on with. Do you have to change some calls, or have you changed some calls in anticipation of that? You would have had to, how you deliver those calls. So, but as you say, the what goes on with the helmet communication gives you a little bit of an end around on some of that.
It kind of saves you. It's a little bit like a saving grace almost, because you can hide those situations, but you do have to change the terminology a little bit. As far as getting strength calls, trying to call things on the field the way that Kai Barker has done so well this season, because he's going to give those
Joe, they would have done
this.
They'd have done this back in the fall or in August. They're not doing this just this week. I mean, they're not changing terminology just this week, or how they're or are they?
It's a yes and no. Especially, they have GAs that sit in a room and watch the TV copy and listen to everything that you can hear on the TV copy, whether it was a cadence, whether it was a check call, whether it was a signal that you can see, just because that's exactly what this business is about. It's a results business. It's about trying to get as much information from the opponent as possible. We used to sit and watch Navy on the TV copy, playing them that week on 4 different broadcasts, just trying to hear them verbalize something, trying to see if we could pick up something, because those microphones are so hot on the field that you do pick up some of those things. And that's where you get the famous Omahas, the the DAC. Yeah, here we go. That's all because of the field mic. So you try and use that to your advantage. So this week there could be a little bit more of a concerted effort to try and change the terminology a little bit, maybe go a little away from verbal calls and go into more of a hand signal thing, especially because I expect the crowd, even though it is going to be Liberty on offense, the offense they run with Jamie Chadwick, it's not a huge communication one. It's a lot of reaction. So I expect the crowd to still be into it on offense.
Joe Samson joining us here. One other thing about ECU app, you leave, everybody's talking about Andrew Conrad, and he missed the extra point, which you can't do. He missed a field goal. Okay. Not ideal, but, it happens, right? And he did come back and hit a 43-yarder. So that's 4 points. Henry Hinton actually said this, which I thought maybe the most brilliant thing he's ever said. And that is, you had him stopped on the 2-point conversion, the roughing the passer, and then you've got a situation now where they execute it with the redo. And so that's 6 points you basically, in the transaction, you've either left on the board or gave App State, spotted App State, essentially, is the best way to probably put that. So I don't think we can overlook that, in the post-mortem of Saturday.
Yeah, you can't overlook it by any means. It's easy to sit here in Monday Morning Quarterback and say, here's the points that were left on the field. But that one's a big one, and it doesn't get talked about enough. That is such a crucial penalty to take, especially in a situation where you don't need it. You had the pressure, you had the coverage called. You don't need to necessarily take him to the ground on that one. You can just kind of put your hands up and force him to make a bad throw instead of trying to, like I said, I don't want to say be a hero in this situation, but get the sack, get the glory. You need to have a heady play to that. You need to be an older guy and understand the situation. Quarterbacks, especially in the red zone, get protected so often. On a 2-point play as quick as that one, too, the ref is basically watching you. That back judge is not looking for holding. It's not going to get called. He's going to call roughing the passer, or he is going to call a cut block. And all the teams are aware of that, so you have to make sure that you're taking care of that kind of play, because the play is going to go so much faster than any other one because it hits so quick.
Joe, let's shift gears. And, before we do, you mentioned this offense. It's a reaction offense. There's some, I'm talking of Liberty, a bit of a triple option. Well, not triple option. There's option.
No, it's close to a triple option. I'd call it a modified triple option. That's how I classify it.
All right. Well, if you classify it as such, I'm going to classify it as such, a modified triple option. But they will throw out of it quite a bit. This seems like this is actually a pretty difficult offense to plan for, because the option itself is such a different, ball of wax. And then they have a quarterback that can throw out of it. And then, they got some great skill players. Pilk noted in the update, the running back banged up. I don't think their offensive line is quite as good. They're big, but I don't think they're quite as good as they were last year. So, or as talented. So, you break down that challenge this week of dealing with that offense and what you got to do with your eyes so you don't get caught one way or the other.
Yeah, so the first thing you have to break down is, and we did it when we played them in the Birmingham Bowl, because, yes, Chadwick had left, but his offense had not. And then, obviously, Tim Beck gets hired from NC State to go down there, and I think they're having buyer's remorse up in NC State because of Grayson McCall looking so good in this offense. But we're going to get into it anyway. First thing you have to do is know your job and know your role. And ECU has done a really good job over the last few years at stopping the option. They seem to have shut down Navy, which is a very difficult thing to do. So you need to understand your job. The dive guy's got to tackle the dive. If you see the quarterback with the ball, tackle the dive. It doesn't matter if you see the quarterback with the ball, if you see him pull the ball, tackle the dive. Because it's now unselfish football. You cannot try and make a play somewhere else. You need to die in your gap, as Coach Roy Tesh would tell me any point he could during this week. The guy that's on the quarterback, tackle the quarterback. Even if he pitches it, once he declares himself as a runner, you can smoke him. There is no roughing the passer once he's declared himself as a runner, even outside of the pocket. Then the veer guy. On the outside, in this case, it's kind of like an offset F almost, because he's going to be in the alley. He can get a pitch play, but he can also run a route. So that guy's got a really tough job this week as far as the rush goes. I'm assuming it's usually the guy into the boundary. If they go into the field, they usually like to actually throw the ball instead of pitch it. But because it gets so tight as far as you get in with the college hashes, usually that guy in the boundary is going to be the offset F. On the other side of that, the field guys got to stay disciplined for the reverse. They don't run the reverse a ton. They did it last year, I want to say, in their championship game, or right before the bowl game, whichever one that was, the week before, or it was the championship game before they played Oregon. They ran a reverse with their guy out of the slot. So you got to be heady to that. They're going to try and do something like that. But also, Blake Carroll knows how to stop this offense. He did it at the Birmingham Bowl, even though it wasn't necessarily their guy. It's the same situation. It's the same setup. So I really like the Pirates in that situation, and the O-line is not nearly as talented as it was last year. You hit it right on the head as far as that goes. So I'm really excited to see how the defense answers the call this week, and I expect JDB to put up some points.
All right, Joe, got a couple minutes here. I want to ask you really quickly about something that Pilkington is just giddy about, and that is that Bryce Young has been benched. What is, I mean, anybody could have seen this coming. Anybody could have seen this before they drafted him. This whole thing was not going to work. And here we are. We're going to a 36-year-old backup.
I think I was on your show when I said it, where I did not see him as the number one quarterback on the board. I want to say we were having a conversation about Frank Reich being the head coach, and I said, look, I think you're putting lipstick on a pig here. I think the situation is so dire. You're trying to fix this thing in a year. You've traded three first-round picks and DJ Moore, who was your franchise receiver. You got rid of Curtis Samuel in the offseason before that one. You had nothing. So you were expecting to make a mountain out of a molehill as far as a money situation goes. You fire the GM. You're still paying Matt Rule. You're still paying Frank Reich. Now Dan Morgan all of a sudden is going to fix everything with no draft picks. I mean, I think we're putting a little too much pressure here on Bryce Young. So trade him to Miami, see what he can do down there. Mike McDaniels can fix him. Tua goes on the IR. There's situations for it. But the problem is you're not going to get nearly the return that you thought you were going to get from him.
Joey Football, great to talk to you. We'll talk to you on Saturday, 3 o'clock, with our Anson Belt and Buckle Pirate Game Day Countdown presented by Orthopedics East. Thank you, Joe.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Patrick.
All right, tomorrow we'll have Doug Martin on and Brian Mull talking some golf and all of that coming your way tomorrow. See you in the morning on Talk of the Town. Back here in the afternoon for the Patrick Johnson Show.